Good morning from Texas. Grant and I are touring a property, and they've got some longleaf pine and some hardwood areas, and we are diving in. They've done a really good job on some of these areas on thinning pines. They've turned it around in the few years that they've been working on this project, and it's really come along. But this morning we're really talking about timing of burning, because we need more forbs out here. We need more native habitat. So come along with Grant and I. We're talking native habitat right now. We're probably going to be talking about some food plots. They've got about 30 acres of food plots, and we're going to work to improve their soil. Of course, we're here in East Texas, real sandy soil. You may remember old George. He's not too far away, and how we turned George's sandy soil into, started putting black soil on his food plots, and his deer herd is really coming along, looking great. He's got great native habitat. Check out that episode, few episodes, see George's project. But today we're here, and come along. We're going to share all the ups and downs and kind of see what we can find, and be sharing what we see, our observations and recommendations for how to improve this habitat and the hunting here on this Texas property. So let's go.
All this fern, I mean, we're going, it's not, but if it was all like this, you're talking, rough number 50 pounds per acre of deer food. Yeah, that's not much, right? Deer eat about 5% of their body weight a day, every day. So easy math, 100-pound deer, 5 pounds a day, that's dry weight. That's when we stick it in an oven at 400 degrees for several hours to get all the moisture out. Wet weight, and there's a lot of variables, drought, a lot of rain type vegetation, but think about 15 to 17 pounds a day. So easy math, again, let's use 15 pounds a day. So you got 10 does, 15 pounds a day, that's 150 pounds of food one day. So if this is 50 pounds per acre, just using round numbers, it doesn't take much to see that 10 does over 365 days would wipe out this area. That's just 10 deer. No fawn recruitment, not growing any antlers. That's 10 100-pound does. Y'all wanting bigger antlers? We got to change the groceries. And that's not, hey, I need 5 more feeders and big Bubba Buck deer blend deer feed out here. Because if you can grow, you can go from, again, round numbers, 50 pounds, 100 pounds for easy math per acre of quality native browse to 1,000 just by changing your burning regime or thinning timber, whatever it takes, depending on where we are. Right here, you obviously don't need thin timber. Man, you're talking about massive difference. Massive difference in antler production, fawn production, milk quality production, reduced insects. Remember, parasites can easily knock off about 15% of antler growth, or 15 inches. So reducing parasites by growing in most parasite cycles. Let's find something green, even though it's not preferred deer browse. We'll go this beautyberry and stuff. But so most parasite cycles in deer, internal parasites, they go into deer and they reproduce somewhere in there, at least have birth, and it depend on different parasites, could be in the stomach, could be in the lungs, or whatever. Then it comes out the back end in feces. Okay, that hits the ground. And they go through maybe an N2 or N3 stage of that particular parasite, not trying to be too deep in the science weeds here. But there's a lot of little microscopic critters, snails, that will eat that and then crawl up plants. And the closer deer eat to the ground of good quality vegetation, the more parasites they get. Because those little critters with the parasites only go so high up the vegetation. So we're taking a real simple one that's very common. I promise you deer on this property have it. They have it on my property. They have it on your property and your property. Is large stomach worm, Haemonchus contortus, large stomach worm. Hair light, but if you look real close, you can see with your naked eyes. You got better eyes than I do, but just a 10-power glass, you can see them easy, okay? So they settle in a certain chamber, or kind of do their thing in a certain chamber of deer's stomach. And when you're a young graduate student, you get the stinky problem of having to do that when you do a herd health check. And if we find zero, you never find 0 to 500 of those worms in that stomach, you say, man, we got more food than deer, and that's a healthy deer herd. Got 500 to 1,500, probably got a pretty good balance of deer to groceries because they're not eating too low. If we find over 1,500 of those worms in that particular chamber of the stomach, you got way more deer than food. And I'll bet you a dime to a donut right now that we're finding over 1,500 on this property. Because it's just what I'm seeing browsing. You got no genetics issues early on the tour or anything like that. We just need more groceries or fewer deer. And people like seeing a lot of deer. But when it's, you know, you look at that level of browse, I mean, they're browsing down to 1/16 of an inch or so of a pretty woody plant. That's like me eating a toothpick. That's not going to grow any antlers. So anyway.
Grant, on the understory here.
Oh, here, we just talked about it right here. Look here. Look what I almost stood on right here. And look at the browse pressure. I mean, that thing's like a buzz cut. Look, you know, actually feel around on that and look at the browse pressure. That's the most valuable plant we've seen all day. I've seen, anyway, so far. You see how much has been nipped on? I mean, we're just at random walking through here, and there's one of the ice cream plants, and it is browsed on heavily.
What do you call that?
Partridge pea.
Partridge.
It's got a lot of common names. I think the most common is partridge pea, probably. It makes this little bean pod. You see that little, like a pea pod or bean pod?
Mm-hmm.
Anything that has that shape, a seed pod, is a legume, adding nitrogen to the soil. So and nitrogen is a huge component of protein. There's actually a math ratio you can use. If you know the nitrogen level, you can tell the protein of the meat or plant or whatever. So over every acre, right here where we are, over every acre, there's over 30 tons of nitrogen in the air. Over every acre on the planet. 30 tons. Why would anyone ever pay for nitrogen is beyond me. Over every acre. I'm talking farmers. Boy, they hate it when you say that. Why would you pay for nitrogen? You just gotta have enough legumes in your plant rotation to pump it back in the soil. So if you had a really good quality stand and you're burning right and you're thin enough to do this, you would never apply DAP to your pine stand. Because the plants will put it, and other plants leak out a carbonic acid. All plants leak out carbonic acid. It's called exudates, leak it out of the root system. And some plants, the form of carbonic acid they leak out frees up phosphorus in the soil. All soil, even sandy soil, has phosphorus in it. So you should never have to add DAP. That's just wasted money on a pine rotation. And this is proven. This is not just talk. But you have to thin just enough to get enough sundown for the right forbs to grow and burn at the right rotation. And you save that early application of DAP and do time value of money and net present value on that pine stand, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, fewer trees, and I'm making way more money per acre. Way more money per acre. So anyway, that's what we do, is help people get to a more natural system. Was actually way more profitable. But let's see if we can find in this little area just one more of those, because that's amazing.
Right here.
Yeah, Daniel's got those good eyes. And it is, oh yeah, it's browsed like someone took a butch cut to it. Don't let me buy it. Just random take stuff.
Call 911 to call the fire people, and we will be tackling them.
Speed drones flying over like Fallujah.
Ping pong ball flying over.
Pretty telling right there. So you can see the break right here. Just a line, a real. See how easy that just. And this stays together. I mean, these roots are. So that's kind of clumping on the roots even after I shook it and stuff. This is not great, but it's certainly better than what we pulled up in the road ditch, which was a road ditch. But our soils are pretty dead. If you have good soil, the dirt will just stick to the roots. This area around here is called the rhizosphere, like our atmosphere. And this is where microbes interchange. And actually how plants are designed to work is microbes go in and out of plants, because a microbe living in dirt, it can't photosynthesize, it doesn't get any sunshine. And photosynthesis, C6H12O6 is making carbon. So what photosynthesis does, make carbon, right? All the carbon people yelling out there kind of miss 7th grade biology. So plants making carbon, all plants make carbon in excess of carbon. So the microbes go in, bacteria microbes go in the root and say, hey, I got phosphorus, I got potassium, I got molybdenum, whatever you need, I'll trade that to you. It's an economy. It's the biggest economy in the world, and says, okay, I'll give you carbon. Plant always gives carbon. And this is getting the microbes. But we don't have hardly any microbe life here. And part of that is just the way the land has been treated in the past, nothing you're doing, I mean loan pass. But this can recover, so deer or other ungulates, deer here, they urinate a lot every day, but a lot of people don't notice they salivate about average deer, adult deer, about 2 gallons a day. 2 gallons a day. Well, that's microbes. That's putting microbes back in the soil. Because you think about just 1 teaspoon of rumen material, that green, nasty smell stuff, 1 teaspoon has about 1 trillion microbes in it. Way more, vastly more than the population of people on the planet, and 1 little teaspoon of that green gut juice. And they're just salivating all day long, everywhere they walk. If you actually watch a deer really closely throughout the day, just dripping saliva almost all day long. So get our deer herd where we need to be and get the right plants. And I bet if you dug this in 2 or 3 or 4 years after you do this right, that soil will be even different. But you could see that layer. Just do it again anywhere. Just do it again. Do it closer to a plant. Just pop up one of these big grass plants. Just get on a grass plant and pop it up. And you'll see a difference than here. I'm willing to say right now, there'd be a difference on that grass clump than there was here. Because that plant is putting out more carbon right there, so there's going to be more microbes right there. Tougher digging, isn't it?
It's a lot easier digging under them.
But it's tougher to get it up because of plant roots. You can hear them if you listen. Hear them ripping. Oh yeah, you can see the difference already, right? You can see the layer is a little deeper. And watch this. Where's my closest pine tree? Right over here. So that dirt just flaked off where we were, right? I mean, it just, no pressure at all. Hopefully my grass holds up. I think you'd all agree that's a lot tougher treatment. Look at all the dirt sticking to the roots. That's because microbial interaction. And if you look close, look at the rhizosphere, look at these roots, you can just see the dirt. You can see it just clinging to there. Once you get below this healthy profile, not as much. This is where all the real interaction is going right now. And through time, if we do this right, that just go on down. Well, when your roots are only reaching, and these broke off, you could hear them ripping with the shovel, but when you're reaching longest maybe 1 foot deep, something like that, you get them reaching 2 or 3 feet deep, think of the vast amount more nutrients and moisture available to them. And that converts to deer and antlers or pine trees, either one. But yeah. You can see much better soil than out there in the food plot where you're adding fertilizer. And there's none been added here. But that food plot is so small, and there's so much, just like right here. I mean, it doesn't matter where I look, I'm gonna see it. Everywhere I look, there's browse pressure on it. Pretty low quality plant. The issue here, we can spend all day, but the issue here is groceries. And you can convert that around. You're in the process of converting it around. I'm gonna bet your body weights may be a tad bit better now than when you first started roller chopping and burning. I suspect this extremely heavy browse pressure on the beautyberry is just that. It's just, we've reached that level where that's the preferred browse. And I bet if, years in the future, when you improve this habitat, you won't see as much browse on the beautyberry. because there'd be more desirable
Think you
species
could
out
use
there.
that as an indicator?
Yeah, I think you can. The first thing you need to start doing is harvesting does. We suggest a lot that you harvest 5 does when we get in a place that's worse than this. 5 does for every buck. It's not the state limit. If the state allows, let me doe harvest. Georgia, you buy a deer tag at Walmart, you get 12 tags, 10 doe tags, 2 buck tags. So it's easy to do there. South Carolina coastal plain, mean deer days, you can harvest using dogs to chase them, corn to bait them, because they have DMAP. Texas has some similar programs.
MLD.
Yeah. And so we tell people to get started for the first couple of years, harvest 5 does for every buck. And the hunter literally has to take 5 does before they bring a buck into the skin and shed. Until you make it that way, they don't get serious. If you say, well, yeah, shoot a buck whenever you want and get 5 does, they're gonna shoot the buck and go home and watch football.
Had a great time here on the property today. Really dove into the native habitat, pine management, talking food plots, how to improve the soil health, get better groceries that are there, and then also more groceries. So we need to balance the number of mouths with the groceries for the herd to express its full potential. That's all part of the hunting plan here. So Grant and I are gonna hit the road. We hope you get outside this week and enjoy creation, but no matter what, make sure you slow down, listen to the Creator and the purpose He has for your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.